Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 163. If you want clarity about your life and or your business, you can schedule a one-on-one coaching session with me. You can send an email to fr@francesrichards.com. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards, certified speaker, teacher, and trainer, 20 years in the financial industry, and founder of the Utah African American Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, James Jackson III.
Hello.
Why don't you give our audience, fill in the gaps? Why don't you share with our audience what you'd like them to know about your business and about you?
Okay. It's kind of have various different paths that I kind of start the foundation of it. As mentioned, I've been in the financial industry for over 20 years. And over the last half of those years, I've been heavily involved in the community. And that path led to starting to elevate Utah's diversity. People feel that it has been lacking here in Utah, which is true. We never really had a big diversity here. And 2009, I launched the Utah Black Chamber. And since then, it's grown year after year. And within the last 5 years, it's doubled. And that's just mainly because of Utah's economy. Utah was ranked one of the best startup hubs in the country, most friendly for small business, and we're short on jobs. That's one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country right now. So that kind of helps it too. So the influx of diversity here has been great. And so the Black Chamber has two paths that we work on. One is helping companies diversify their talent and become an inclusive workforce. And two, elevating the Black small businesses here in Utah. And so through the Black Chamber, we've created a lot of different programs. You have the UtahBlackPages.com, which is up and running, but should be fully launched by the end of April, where people can go to. And it's kind of like Utah's Green Book. You can find all the Black churches, businesses, and organizations that's supporting the Black community. We also launched what's called the Utah Diversity Career Fair. This would have been the fourth year running, but it's been put on hold, of course, because of circumstances around the country, to be pushed back to later this fall. We usually get about 50 employers and about 250 job seekers to come through that to help with the diverse workforce. And through that, we've created like a pipeline with the colleges and universities. We started a pilot with the University of Utah called Woke in the Workplace, where we invite diverse professionals to talk with diverse students and introduce them to opportunities here in Utah and their experience as a person of color, as a LGBTQ person, as a woman professional here in Utah. And so we can continue to increase the pipeline of diversity with all the colleges and universities here recruiting diversity. So why not keep that diverse talent here? In the last September, we launched what's called Living Color Utah, which has kind of got all the 5 ethnic chambers within Utah together, along with Young Professional Salt Lake. And that website is kind of like the diversity hub for Utah for companies to use as a resource as they recruit and attract diverse talent. They can use this website as a resource to say, yes, there is diversity in Utah. Here's how you can get connected to Utah's diversity through these various organizations, who are also connected to the other diverse organizations in Utah. For example, with the Utah Black Chamber having the Black Pages, and about 30 of our members are nonprofit organizations that elevate the diverse community. So we're really working to stimulate the growth of Utah's diversity with various platforms that we have. And just this past February, this last month, we launched our foundation. It's the UAACC Charitable Foundation, which is going to continue our cause in education and growth of our entrepreneurs and our business professionals. So one thing that we did is we teamed up with the Small Business Development Center to create a free program, which is the Everyday Entrepreneur Program. And that program is a 10-week program that takes someone's idea into an actual MVP, a minimum viable product. We walk them through the steps, through the 10-week course, so they can actually bring their business to life. And then, of course, within the chamber, connect them to all the different resources to continue to grow and elevate that business to be successful. Another program that we're working on is the Leadership Pathway Program. We're working with Western Governors University to help launch this in the fall. And it's really a semester-based 16-week course connecting them with a business mentor to help put more diverse leadership in companies here in Utah. And so hopefully that will be rolling out in the fall. And then we have a 5-year plan to create build what's called the Utah Black Success Center, which is eventually going to be the economic development hub for the Black community. So we'll be working with some redevelopment agencies, city planners to find a location and scope out the design of it and of course raise money for it to build this facility. We have a conference room, an event hall, incubator space, classroom, basically a space where people could come into to get educated, to mastermind, to network, and to thrive. So it's not really a co-working space. It's a facility to help build businesses, educate people with any type of programs that our business community and business partners have. They come into the space, educate, learn about the different resources, bring business minds together, bring our nonprofit organizations that they're looking for a space to meet. They can use this space. It'll be subsidized through an affordable housing project that we're going to add on to it, which is why it's a 5-year plan, looking to raise money for it so people can go to blacksuccesscenter.com and donate as we continue to build that up. So that's on the nonprofit side that I have a lot of things going on. And what that has done for me is, people ask me, companies, government entities, and so forth have asked me to come and share with them my story, my platform, and how I've been able to do all these different things around a full-time job. I have a full-time job with the Zions Bank Corporation, which is, explains my 20 years of financial industry. So I've been with Zions Bank Corp for 6 years now. My 6-year anniversary is on April 1st. And my current position is the Supplier Diversity Program Manager for the Zions Bank Corp. So the goal is to add more diverse businesses into our vendor management, into our supply chain. And got that opportunity in November is when that's a new role for me that I just received. And so people ask me how I'm able to do all this around my full-time job and navigate all the different experiences and processes, being a second-generation Utahn. I'm able to continually upgrade and elevate the diversity here. And so I started my own business, J3 Motivation, in 2016. And that's basically a platform for me to go out and educate, train, speak, doing keynotes out in the community as I kind of share where Utah's headed and how to get it done with the various platforms, building bridges of inclusion, strategic partnerships and collaborations, and really just showing them how it's all done. So that's me, is hopefully in the smallest nutshell that I can bring it into. We have a lot going on. I have a lot of articles that I write for Utah Business Magazine. So I do a lot of writing as well. And then hopefully we'll have a book out in the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell, pretty much.
Thanks for that, James. And you are really busy. Talk about the process of you starting the chamber.
If someone told me everything that it took to start the chamber in the very beginning, I wouldn't have done it. I did not know it was going to be so much work. But what has helped me is I'm surrounded by mentors. The Utah Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Utah Asian Chamber of Commerce are around long before the Black Chamber came along. And they basically just took me under the wing and showed me all the nuances within of how the chamber worked, how nonprofit worked. I had no experience in any of that area. I had no experience in small business at that time. I was just looking for an opportunity where we can elevate Utah's diversity, and this is the avenue that seemed the best fit for me to do that. If it wasn't for the mentors that I had surrounded by me, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And then I'm probably the most self-competitive person I know. I continually always try to be the better version of myself, and I refuse to quit. There's been many opportunities that I've come across, and there's some times where my fiance can come and tell me, James, you need to stop. That's not going to work, and it's okay to fail. So I appreciate her for really giving me a reality check, and she's my biggest cheerleader as far as keeping things moving. So with her and the mentors that I have, and really just the drive and ambitious spirit for me to really achieve the goals I want to accomplish, it's what really built that foundation for me to get it moving.
So James, what are you most grateful for right now in your life?
What I'm most grateful for is the relationships that I have. Like I said, my fiance, my family here, the village that has really helped me grow here. Like I mentioned, I have the mentors, but there's been role models. I've been surrounded by amazing people here. Black professionals, the doctors, lawyers, judges, people that when you come into Utah, you don't see these individuals right off the bat. And I was raised all around them. Seeing them do what they do and seeing how they navigate through here, this gave me a sense that I had every opportunity here to succeed. A lot of people, when I tell people all the time, leadership is influence and nothing more, nothing less. And I was influenced by a bunch of leaders around me. Just kind of how, like, a lot of people look at high school, for example, and within the clique or groups that they surround them, high school graduating is not a thought to them. Like, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to go to college. It's just their mindset. Whereas other people, they struggle. They don't know if they're going to make it. Well, that's the same mindset that I had within the successes that I've been able to achieve. Is I've been surrounded by a lot of people who said, you can do this. Here's how to do it, and here's how to get it done. Follow this, you'll make it happen. I'm like, okay. And so that's what I'm most grateful for. It's pretty much just a village that I've been surrounded by.
James, you had mentioned your mentors with other chambers. Did you reach out to them or did they reach out to you? Were they already a part of your circle of influence?
No, in the very beginning, they were not. I reached out to them. I let them know, hey, here's what I want to do for the Black community. They're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Let us help you. Which is, I believe sometimes people see more in you than you see in yourself. And I believe that was the case. Because all I did was ask, and I kind of shared, here's what I want to do. And whatever look I gave them or whatever they saw in me, they're like, all right, he's the guy to get it done. And I was grateful that they kind of showed me the way.
James, I'm very familiar with Utah for the past, I want to say, for about 12 years up until 2017. I would constantly go to Utah. You had mentioned one of the partnerships you're doing with Western Governors University. I was a part of their faculty. I definitely understand the culture of Utah and the diversity in Utah and the fact that I love what you're doing to expand diversity in Utah. Tell us a specific story around that aha moment for you to say this is what Utah needs.
Yeah, back in, about it was fall of 2018, the new editor-in-chief of Utah Business Magazine called me. She was new from the Bay Area, young white female, called me. She says, James, in a nutshell, this wasn't her exact words, I'm just paraphrasing here, but she says, James, our magazine is too white, help us. We get the same nominees for all the awards that we do for the magazine, like Entrepreneur of the Year, CEO of the Year, and so forth. He said, we need to change this. And I said, okay. And it really opened my eyes as I was just wrapping up the project for Living Color Utah and talking about all the things that were going on there. And companies reaching out to the Black Chamber said, hey, we want to get connected to your community to help us diversify our talent. I started hearing more and more of this happening. That really opened my eyes to say, it's not just for social good. It's not just so people can see that Utah is a great place to be. It definitely impacts the economy when you have diversity of people, diversity of thought. It adds more perspective, innovation, and everything else into a business. So that's when the light bulb went off for me, and I instilled a vision within my chamber to say, let's change Utah's diversity landscape. We have amazing partnerships and relationships with really how we can make this happen with people like Business Utah Magazine, Larry Miller Corporation, that can give us the visibility to bring this to life. This wouldn't have been something that we would have been able to do 10 years ago when the Black population was 0.8%. But now, 1 out of 5 people in Utah are a person of color. So it's a matter of elevating that, bringing those people of color into leadership positions, helping them grow their businesses, giving them a platform to elevate their talents and gifts. And so that's where we really started shining, and that's where the chamber started growing.
James, what problem exists in the world today that you'd like to solve?
The divisiveness. I think it's so silly that we are so divided as a nation. I have a training program that I do within, I'm a certified coach, teacher, speaker, and trainer with John Maxwell. And he has a book called Everyone Communicates, Few People Connect. And I do a workshop on this book, mastermind, and do some keynotes on it. But within there, one element of that book talks about what do you do when people have a different belief, different perspective than you do? How do you handle that? And it's only the real leaders, the real influencers that manage that properly, not steering them away, not unfriending them or unfollowing through social media platforms, but really being able to connect them and have a meaningful dialogue with the different perspectives to find some common ground and alignment to how each of these perspectives and beliefs can align and make the world a better place. So if anything, that's the biggest problem, is just end the divisiveness, because it doesn't do anybody any good at all.
What is the goal for your brand or your business?
The goal for my brand or business is really to educate people the power of relationships. Relationships is the new currency. People look at me as this huge success, this person that's done many of these accomplishments, but it's really just the relationships that I have. And it's through me navigating that process, knowing how to create a win-win for every relationship that I have. And so that's really just my brand. It used to be, James is like one of the greatest networkers out there. And honestly, I hate networking. It's not something that I love doing. It's just something I had to do in the beginning. And now I'm in a position where I don't have to network anymore. And what that does is allow me to focus on partnerships, strengthening relationships. And through that, my network grows. For me, the brand of my business is utilizing your network to truly achieve the success that you want, because you don't have to know everything and you don't have to do everything. What you want to do is build relationships that put people in place to help you accomplish your goals. And as long as you move your ego out of the way and just allow your network to all work together and just create that platform, because it's really all about what you want to have accomplished and having every puzzle in place to make that work.
You talked about starting the chamber. How did you secure the capital to start the chamber?
It started with my own money at first, but of course, as a nonprofit, the key to any nonprofit, of course, is fundraising. And it took almost 2 years to secure my first corporate sponsor, which of course was Zions Bank. I wasn't employed with Zions Bank at the time, but they were backing every other ethnic chamber, and I thought they would be the easiest to go to. They help ethnic chambers out, they're going to help mine. That wasn't the case. I really had to, just because I'm another ethnic chamber doesn't mean they're going to buy into me immediately. I have to show them the vision, the plan, and how I'm going to make this work, and make sure, and they wanted to understand that this is something that's going to stick around for a while, and that there was going to be a meaningful partnership. I had to learn how to fundraise, and I was fortunate to be associated with Zions Bank on how that all worked, and they're one of the biggest banks here in Utah. As a community bank, they're really investing in the community, and I was fortunate to be in a department within that bank for a couple of years, and knowing how they do connect with the community, and I've learned how to fundraise. One thing that I didn't realize that it was a skill that I learned, and that's really actually when I became even a better salesperson, is the fundraising, selling the vision of what this nonprofit can do, and selling the vision of the platform and that we have in place, and people bought into that. So it really just came down to learning how to fundraise and learning how to sell the vision.
We can learn from so many brands and businesses. Tell us, James, a brand or business that is dominating that you admire and why.
I'm a big sports fan, and I really admire the NFL and the NBA just because with what they have done is be able to create a platform. And I believe, the NBA is doing a lot better job than NFL, honestly. And so I'm using the NBA as a great example where they have ownership, they have managers, and they have players that are leveraging the platform to really get the word out about social justice issues, about things that are happening to help the world become a better place, because they understand the position that they're in. Yes, they're a billion-dollar company. The teams are billion-dollar companies. The players are making millions of dollars. But they understand their whole platform is entertainment, and their reach expands beyond the arena and in television screens. They have the community that they're living in that they can support and so forth. And just with the relationship that we have with the Larry Miller Corporation and the Utah Jazz within the chamber, it's been great to see what they understand and how they're able to capitalize and leverage that platform and to help build their communities.
Excellent example. You mentioned the name of your brand is J3 Motivation. And with everything going on in our world today, give us, James, best advice to motivate our audience.
Focus on the journey, not the destination. Because so often we set our goals and everything we want to achieve, but we fail during the process because the journey is a long road. There's kinks that will be thrown in the way. For example, the first quarter of 2020 for the Chamber was absolutely amazing. We were going strong. Everything seemed to be aligning. Membership was increasing. We were getting a lot of visibility, maybe one of the most visible chambers overall in the state of Utah. And then COVID-19 hits and everything almost comes to a standstill. However, it didn't necessarily discourage me at all. I believe there's always an opportunity in every storm. And so I always look for what can we do to be stronger. It allowed me to really step back a little bit and say, we need to work on our infrastructure better. Let's focus on building up the Black Pages. Let me reach out to all of my different committee chairs and say, let's work on this strategy while our events are not happening right now. Fortunately, we have a revenue place that we can hold on for a minute and not need to focus on fundraising. Let's just focus on building our infrastructure and strengthening our operation and strengthening our platform. And so when all this has died down, we can come out the gates guns blazing and really make this happen. But we just have to stick within the process. And the process is there to help elevate you, to help you grow, because the person that you are now is not going to be the same person that you have to be when you achieve your goal. And so through this process, you have to understand that you have to grow, that you have to educate yourself. You have to build a new association to help elevate you and to stay on that path, because you can't be the same person that's going to help you get to that goal. You're going to grow with your goal. And so I'm always telling people, focus on the journey more than just the destination, because that's where the true success happens, is the person you become in the process.
Speaking of the person we've become, tell us, how are you feeling about the person James has become?
Like I said, I'm the most self-competitive person I know, and I always feel there's rooms for improvement. I can admit that I've been dealing with imposter syndrome for the last year, and someone really had to let me know that, James, you need to embrace who you are as an influence in the community, as a leader, as someone who can really make an impact here, and that you are making an impact. Because sometimes I feel, the chamber's growing, but I don't feel like, we don't have this kind of membership in place. We don't have this in place. And I haven't really looked at everything that we've done so far that people have been appreciative of. And so from that, I've really kind of embraced who I've become right now. And it's exciting for me. I grew up shy and introverted. This is definitely a shift in my whole personality that I'm learning how to manage. But it just goes back to that growth, that journey. And it's just been a fun journey. And I'm enjoying it right now. I think I have an amazing life with my own little family here, 3 kids, fiance, and we're fortunate to be in opportunities to where this pandemic happening doesn't slow us down. We're just managing where we are and just enjoying the experiences that we have while we're here.
Speaking of COVID-19, just as a person, we need to be healthy and well. We need to take care of ourselves. What does self-care look like to you, James?
It's my anchor. That's kind of the definition that Dwayne Johnson gave. He was giving a talk at the Women to Watch tour that Oprah Winfrey was doing. I listened to Super Soul Sunday as one of the podcasts that I chime in on, and I was listening to Dwayne Johnson. He called it his anchor. I work out 6 days a week. I definitely get good 6 to 8 hours sleep, no less than 6, and that's really has kept me moving. I worked out even before I got on this podcast. I'm usually getting up at 4:30 in the morning and really have time to myself, but working out, praying, reading before my family gets up, to give time to myself to get prepared for the day. And ever since I put that routine in place, I do feel like I'm Superman sometimes. I've probably been sick twice in the last 10 years, just from the normal cold or a fever. I can't tell you the last time I really felt, no, I can't. I think it was 2004, 2005, where I really felt I was out for the count. But other than that, I've always felt like I've been healthy. Working out, for me, exercise is critical to not only my physical health, but to my mental health as well. It really, getting up in the morning, getting that workout in, the very first thing I do. I get up, put on my workout clothes, go work out, and it really clears my mind, motivates me. I already have something accomplished in the day, and I'm just ready to go. I'm a different person when I don't work out. I'm just not all the way there. And so that's why I like to call it my anchor.
What type of exercises do you do?
I'm pretty crazy with my exercises. I'm not someone that just kind of goes out for a run or something like that. I subscribe to Beachbody On Demand, and I kind of follow Shaun T around with his crazy workouts, whether it's Insanity or the T25 workouts, those very high impact exercises. I'm jumping, screaming, hooping, and hollering, push-ups, whatever it is to kind of, once I finish that 25-minute workout, my fiance, one time, she see me coming up the stairs, or she came downstairs yesterday morning and just saw just me dripping in sweat. She was like, ew. But that's where I want to be. I want to finish my workout just sweating and panting, get that heart rate up, get some movement going in my body.
James, what is the one thing that we can do right now to support your business?
Really depends. With this COVID-19, I can't really do any speaking gigs at the moment. I'm not a big webinar type person. My impact, of course, is being in front of an audience, really working one-on-one or in groups with them, really being hands-on with that experience. So I've thought about how I could do some webinars. I'm doing one on the 24th with this collaboration of people to kind of test on how that works, and maybe I'll do something like that in the future. But as of right now, continue to follow me on my social platforms. And when this whole COVID-19 is all finished, I'd love to come out to your company to speak and kind of share with you the keys and elements as far as connecting with people, building bridges of inclusion, building your leadership team. That's what J3 Motivation is all about, is really coming to your companies. I am looking to, with this whole thing in place, to open my eyes up that it may be time to add some coaching clients. Might do add maybe one coaching client a year, but with this whole thing in place, maybe I need to get about 2 or 3 if I'm not doing any speaking gigs right now. So I am looking for a couple of coaching clients right now that want to really elevate themselves to the next level, take their leadership game up to really get them over the hump of what they're experiencing right now. So if there are people interested in being coached, I'm definitely open to interviewing some people to see if they're a good fit for us as partners, for me to coach them. And then, of course, raising money within the Chamber and the Foundation. We're always looking to increase our membership base in Utah. So people that are in Utah that want to be a member of the Chamber, they can reach out to us at our website. And also people all over the country can go to blacksuccesscenter.com as we try to build our success center.
What book would you recommend and why?
I'm a big John Maxwell fan. And of course, because I'm certified to him, so I train on a lot of those books. One book I do read every year, I pull it out every January, with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It really helps him build that mindset of that, that anything is possible, no matter where you are, kind of build that ambition and drives me in that motivation and gives me those key principles that never change. Principles never change. What it takes to have success, and gives me my little mantra going. That book is almost 100 years old, and so yes, it's a little outdated as far as the inclusive language perspective. So just keep that in mind. But it definitely has great principles in there. So yes, I do read that book every single year. I'm not a huge library person. I do read a lot of books several times over a year. I mean, I may have 100 or so books, but I do read about a half a dozen to 7 or 8 every single year, because I feel it's all about the growth. I'm not going to read a book and put it away. I'm going to read that book until I can understand it and apply the principles that are in place.
James, let's shift gears for a second. Let's talk about risk or failure. What is the worst moment in business, and what is your takeaway?
For me, I think the worst moment in business is not your personal failure, but when your failure impacts people that bought into you. That's what hurts the most for me, is because I bring people on board the train. I want to keep that's what motivates me to keep the train moving. People that are counting on me to make it grow. I'm always looking out for the team, always looking out for the community. And so the worst is when you fail them. But like I mentioned, there's always an opportunity in every storm. There's always a learning experience. And so if you take that into consideration and just let your team know, be the first one to admit, I feel the more responsibility you take, the more control you have. When you can own up to your mistakes and own up to being responsible for everything that's around you, you can take control of that and learn how to keep moving.
Is there a social cause that's connected with your company?
J3 Motivation, there's not necessarily a social cause, because my platform is tied into it already. So I guess there kind of is, because it's hard to go out and speaking about leadership without telling my own story. My story about elevating Utah diversity is always going to be the social cause tied in with J3 Motivation.
James, who are your top 2 influencers in your life, and what lessons did they teach you?
One is the Reverend Dr. Francis Davis, Pastor Emeritus of the Calvary Baptist Church. He was one of those people that saw more in me than I saw in myself. And once I believed in myself more and really believed in what he's seen in me, that's when I really started to grow. I mean, he was someone that pastored for church for 46 years. Definitely a legend here in Utah and throughout the world, working with Dr. King and just the influence that he's had and all the amazing things he's been able to accomplish through his life and how he takes the time to really talk to me and encourage me. And then my grandfather, James Jackson Sr., he passed away back in 2012, but he was the one that first pushed me out into the speaking arena. I mean, that's my first public speaking engagement was 13 years old in Los Angeles, California at a layman convention, speaking in front of hundreds of old black men. And at first I thought they were just giving me kudos because I was that young 13-year-old whippersnapper sharing my own little thoughts on the Bible that really encouraged me to keep doing it. And found that even though I'm shy and introverted, don't like getting out much, but when I get in front of an audience, I found a passion in me wanting to educate people and motivate them.
James, talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger you?
When I was in college, I didn't hang around a lot of people. I was a commuter student, went to school, came back home, went to work. So I would just say, and I look at the students now that I engage with, when I work in the chamber, work at the U, as far as my community development experience, I'll say just get engaged, volunteer. That's where your leadership experience develops. That's where relationships happen. And the faster you get engaged, the more you volunteer, the more visible you become. And know that relationships are the new currency. And so the more visible you become, those opportunities will come faster.
You talked about your fiance and your children and your family. How do you include your personal life, your family life, with your business life, and all of these things that you have on the table?
Well, like I said, Michelle, she's my biggest cheerleader in everything that I do. So it's just great to just one thing by her. I mean, she's the one that helped me create my company name. She's doing Why Not J3 Motivation. Oh, that sounds awesome. They're my cheerleaders. They're people that keep me encouraged. My oldest daughter feels like I'm Superman. And so that keeps me moving to say, I don't want to fail her. My fiance keeps me encouraged and keeps me moving. When I'm out there networking and building things. Look, my son's always looking for opportunities. And so I keep him abreast of things that are happening. I have a different relationships with each of my kids, and it's just amazing. When they're excited, like when I'm in the community, I have different events, and, I invite them to any ones that I can. And so that's exciting that they can participate along with me and kind of see what we're doing in the community and the amazing things that I'm able to experience.
James, what is your favorite quote or saying and why?
If you ask other people, they'll say that my favorite word is sexy because I want everything just to be sexy. That's just the word that in my vocabulary that I tend to use a lot. But I think as far as my favorite quote, I just put on my tagline, is live with purpose, honestly. It's just keeping it simple. Always have a purpose within you to, when you don't have a purpose, it's really hard to stay motivated. It's really hard to stay encouraged. It's really hard to accomplish anything. So, you can set a goal, but why is that goal important? So I would say live with purpose.
And what do you do personally when you hit that bump in the road? How do you adjust and reset?
I don't know if there's ever an adjustment or reset for me. If I hit a bump in the road, I keep moving. Because like I said, I always look for, there's always an opportunity within every storm. So when I hit a bump, that to me is an educational opportunity. It's like, why am I hitting this bump? What am I going to learn from this? And how do I keep it moving? Do I pivot to another direction and keep going? Or do I build, or do I just stop here and just do completely something else? So for me, it's just, I always look for the learning part of it.
James, talk to the person in the audience. They want to start a business. They're fearful. What advice would you offer them?
Feel the fear and do it anyway. There's a lot of different resources out there. And I think there's two key elements of why they're starting a business. One is build the resources, build relationships with people, get educated, know that you're not doing this all by yourself. Even if it's a business with just you and you're not having any employees, you're still not alone. There's Small Business Development Center, there's the FBA, there's SCORE, there's all these different business resources out there that want to help you. Economic development, And so don't do it alone. But the most important element is your why. And if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough, because that's what's going to keep you motivated. That's what's going to keep you moving. This tie right back into my favorite quote, live with purpose. Be sure there's a strong enough purpose behind starting your business that you can fall back on when things are tough. When things are hard, then you can go back and why am I doing this? This is why it's worth it. That's the most important piece.
James, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you would ask yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
Pretty good job with all of the questions you've asked so far, so I can't think of one right now, to be honest with you.
And that's okay. We'll move into what we call our Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Sure.
The last movie you saw?
Just Mercy.
You relaxed doing what?
Taking a walk.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Favorite rapper would be Busta Rhymes. Favorite singer, I would have to say right now would be John Legend, Anderson .Paak. I don't know if I can narrow down to just one.
Your favorite dance song?
Poison and Motown Philly. I'm still old school with those.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Banana.
Your favorite month?
March. Birthday month.
Hit the gym or hit the couch?
Gym always.
James, thank you so much for spending time with us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we conclude, why don't you share with our audience the best way that they can connect with you, support your business, the projects that you're working on, and include all of your social media handles?
Sure. LinkedIn is where I'm active the most, so you can just look up James Jackson III on LinkedIn. You can also go to j3motivation.com or jamesjackson3.com for my website. Our chamber domain is changing. This is because we changed our name last year from Utah American Chamber of Commerce to Utah Black Chamber. And so right now it's uaacc.org. But I believe by next month it'll be utahblackchamber.com. And that has all the social media handles as well. Utah Black Chamber is on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And I as well, J3 Motivation on Twitter, Instagram. And then I also have James Jackson on Facebook as well. I'm not as active on Twitter, though. I'm not sure why I mentioned Twitter. Don't go to me on Twitter. More on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
All right, James. Thank you so much. That's a wrap.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it, Dr. Richards.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.